What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Ripple, I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's really been moving it lately. And then aside from that though, I see a lot of big accounts on social media talking about tariffs and how people are overreacting with cryptocurrency and how tariffs don't affect crypto. So I wanted to kind of talk on that. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that, let's get right to it. So Ripple is down 1.02%. You do have a very low volume, so 932 million. I don't think it's been that low for a very long time. In the past, Ripple has been good at holding good support levels despite lower volume. Other cryptos, not so much. So you're seeing pretty much across the board a slow, gradual pullback because I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what is coming next. All they know is that effective, I think in the next couple of days, you have tariffs coming out associated to Mexico. So 25 there, 25 to Canada, and then 10 to China. So this is where a lot of, I think, big accounts are trying to calm the masses by saying, hey, cool your jets, crypto doesn't get affected by tariffs. So let's kind of talk on that for a second. And I'm just going to say it out loud. I'm not going to throw some decorative pictures and whatever, but I think a lot of individuals just invest in crypto like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatever, and they don't necessarily know maybe what drives it. So cryptocurrency is just, for the most part, an extension of people's appetite for risk. Over and above that, though, one big driving factor is consumers' buying power. This is why crypto is usually affected by inflationary data and many things like that. So tariffs do affect consumers' buying power, and through that, it does also affect people's appetite for risk. So for direct correlation, big accounts are correct that technically cryptocurrencies do not get hit, but beside the point, indirectly they do. So this is why you are seeing lower volume and a slow gradual pullback, because I think a lot of people are still, like I said, when it comes down to the tariffs, waiting for just maybe some last minute pull from Trump or potentially something else coming on the table that would really help. But beside the point, I think right now the market's just kind of stuck in limbo. But you are definitely seeing lower volume with Ripple and also many other cryptos out there. But it is definitely affecting a lot of them. Aside from that, looking at liquidations, lately you've seen a lot of longs closing out their positions. So again, it's a little bit more oriented towards the fear side. This is kind of a good representation. So this is all the liquidations. So when there is more longs closing out, that means that there's a little bit more fear, more downside. When there is essentially shorts liquidating, inverse, right? So pretty simple stuff. A lot of people overcomplicate this like tenfold when it doesn't need to be done, right? Cryptocurrency is pretty basic. You just look at a lot of the macro data points, look at the technicals, and voila, there you have it. So this is why I kind of find it funny how a lot of people just overly like look at finite details. It's not like that, right? In Ripple's case, there is a lot of good catalysts as well that again would drive people's appetite for risk. So I think with what is happening with X and or Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, and the money version of it, so I think that could definitely use Ripple and most likely will alongside the banks, as I've given you an update that's going to be commencing in March. So there's a lot of good updates coming for Ripple. So let me know your viewpoint on that. But aside from that though, with it at 304, it's kind of just the technicals, right? So it did and was really wanting to get above this pivot point. So that is at 309. Unfortunately, not enough there to really push it above that. So 307 essentially is that day high, 24 hours. And so that's going to be a point to watch for in the next couple days. And then flip side, 292, 281, and then 264 is going to be the following support levels. So right now, like I said, just market stuck in limbo. Lower volume means a little bit increase in volatility. So most likely you are going to see a retest of this 292. I know a lot of people might not want to hear that, but with given the circumstances, I think that's kind of just the writing on the wall. All it's going to need is just the big whales to sell, and that is going to kind of cause a domino effect, essentially. So that's just my viewpoint. On a side note, I'm very bullish on Ripple. So I think out of all of them, all of the cryptocurrencies, there's only a small handful that have a good utility, and I think at the end of the day, this is one of the ones that you really need to dollar cost average, because if they do announce, let's say, the X payment version, if it gets kind of incorporated, like, this is going to go up like absolutely insane. So again, there's a lot of different things that could really move it, but I think in the short term you're going to see a retest of this S1, which most likely it'll bounce off of that, as what has happened in the past with Ripple. But on the actual chart itself, I'm looking at the 1-day chart. I have the 50, 100-day moving averages, ALMA, super trend, and stochastic RSI. So on the 1-day, you are seeing it very oversold, so that's kind of a good thing, all in all. But it is below the ALMA. Not really much activity over the last little bit. You did see that sell-off that happened on January the 27th that caused it to go down to, it looks like, a low of 265. So it goes to show exactly what happens when longs close out the positions with lower volume. Like in the environment with lower volume that we're currently in, whales wanting to get out, you're going to have a lot of volatility. So most likely that is going to happen. The 50-day moving average right now is sitting at exactly $2.61. So aside from some of the points that I did bring up, such as over here, so the 292, 281, that 264/261 range, that most likely is going to be that diamond in this line in the sand, or whatever you want to call it. So most likely that is going to be worst case scenario, at least the bottom over the next 2 weeks. And then, but I think in the short term, it might be bouncing off of this S1 and potentially trending higher from here, but that's just my viewpoint. Moving over to the 4-hour though, because everything feeds into each other. So the 4-hour into the 1-day and so forth and blah, blah, blah. So this is where you're seeing a little bit more of a breakdown. So it is below both the 50 and 100-day moving averages, as well as ALMA. It is kind of showing that it wants to move higher, but it's not really, doesn't have that level of buying. And so crypto definitely does need a inflow of capital to really push higher. So yeah, as of right now, I think the market is just going to be either stagnant, if not slowly trending down. But that's just my viewpoint on that. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Do you disagree? Do you think that we're going to go to the moon? And why? Well, I guess why? What would really be that next big catalyst, aside from what I mentioned in March, that would really drive crypto and Ripple higher through there? So yeah, let me know your viewpoint. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, if you are looking for buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto, take a look at my Patreon. Many bangers out there. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.